What's going on? It's your host, Industrial Dave. Welcome to 6 to 6. Ha! This is part two of the nuclear industry. If this is your first time watching, welcome. We talk about everything blue collar. Let's get into it. Some other things about the nuclear industry that is key that you should know. These places are all, listen, I mean, 99% of the time, these places are in the middle of nowhere. I mean, like the boonies. Like, you probably never seen a nuclear plant, honestly, if you really think about it, man. Unless you live in a country or something like that, you'll probably never see one unless you're looking for it or you're going to work, right? You're trying to get in the field, then you'll end up going to one. But the nuclear plants, forget about it. If you live in a city, I'm telling you, you're gonna have to drive probably about an hour. They're always in the boondocks. It's just the way it is. They're always in the boonies, and they're usually by a river because they need water to run and all that stuff to run the coolant, whatever. But nuclear plants are always in the country. Now, something that I do love, and again, this is for contracting. This isn't if you're going to actually work for the nuclear plant itself. I'm talking specifically about contracting. Now, one thing that I like, you're gonna make some money. Listen, if you are working in a nuclear plant, you are going to make some money, man. They, for the most part, I'm gonna say about 80% of the time, 85% of the time, they're only going to work 12s. Now, why? And this is because it just takes too long to do everything. It's just part of it. It's part of procedure. So you have to work 12-hour shifts. What I'm saying 12 hours is you're not just in there sweating and you're not going to get a break and all this stuff. No, it's wild. I'll give you an example. I got this water right here, right? So I can open it, I can drink it, right? And just put it back, put the cap on, and then I could just set my water back down. It's not like that in a nuclear plant. We would have to literally write a plan on how I'm going to take this top off safely, drink the water, and then safely put the top back on, and then safely set it down, make sure there's nothing in the way, all this stuff to make sure nothing's hot in the area. When I say hot, I mean radiation. Like, everything is baby steps in a nuclear plant. There's a class where they show you how to take clothes off and put clothes on. It's an 8-hour class on how to get dressed in a nuclear plant. Like, that's a thing, not touching your skin and your gloves and stuff like that. That's a thing. So everything is drugged out in a nuclear plant. Therefore, you're going to be making a lot of money, a lot of hours. You're going to be working 6/12s. Most of the time, it's always 6/12. Sometimes you can run into 7/12s, or if they're in pre-outage, then they'll do 50 hours a week, but they are going to go to 12-hour shifts. And depending on how big the job is, it could be anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months. And you can make some serious dough. The last nuclear plant I was at, they had this big giant generator that they had to change out. I think the generator it was probably maybe about 300 foot tall. It was huge. I don't remember how much it weighed. I think it weighed about maybe 300,000 pounds or something like that. But they had to change it out. They had to change it out like I think it was two of them, 2 per unit, or I could be screwing that up. But I worked 6/12s from February to the last 2 weeks of Memorial Day weekend. Like 6/12s. And I had 1 day off, just 1 day off a week. And I think that job was union, of course, obviously. The per diem was $150 a day. So every day that I go to work, they gave me $150. And then my straight time was $45 an hour. So of course I'm working 6/12. So I would get time and a half. I would get double time. And then my premium day, it's kind of weird how that goes. I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but there was a day out of that 6 days a week where one day I would get time and a half all day, and then the next day I would get double time. So I'm not going to sit here and do the math. I'm not a mathematician, but just do time and a half at $45 an hour, and then double time at $45 an hour. So that money adds up fast, So I was grossing about 40. I didn't hit the 5, so I was grossing about 40, exactly about like 49 to 4,800 a week, depending on if I, something crazy, like if I came late or something. But for the most part, I was grossing $4,900 a week from that time, February, to about the last couple of weeks for Memorial Day weekend. And even before that, they had pre-outage. So I was just sitting in a room waiting for my background to come back. And I had to sit and wait for, man, I think I did wait. I waited about 5 or 6 weeks for my background to come back. So, that was cool. They also have these things called hot turnovers. So basically, after you get your red badge and you're cleared to go to work and you absolutely have everything, when they call it a red badge, I talked about this in my first video. Well, you get a badge and it's not physically a red badge, right? But you have unescorted access to any nuclear plant, most nuclear plants, I'm sorry. You have unescorted access to most nuclear plants in the country if you're able to pass this background. But you cannot get the pass until the minute that you scan your ID. So you scan your ID, boop, and the doors open, you are good. That's all you need to do. You are official the minute that you scan your badge and the doors open. At that point, going in a nuclear plant is insane. I didn't even know there was a thing. They've got these puffers. Like it's like when you're going to the airport, when you walk through the x-ray, but they're puffers, there's air shooting out of them. It's wild, man. So you got to do that, and then you go through the x-ray, and it's just kind of weird, man. You got all the guards standing around with these big M16s and stuff, and you're like, man, I just want to go to work, right? But it's a nuclear plant. That's the way it is. So heavily guarded. Don't think you're gonna try nothing there. They've got signs everywhere that says authorized to use deadly force. So that's that was pretty cool. I think just from about January to the last few weeks of Memorial Day, I think I had cleared right at about like 62 and some change, about 62,000 and some change or whatever. So it was pretty good. Like I said, I just worked every day, had one day off a week. So that was cool. Another thing that I love about the nukes, you stay clean for I'm gonna say about 95% of the time. It depends on what part of the plant you're in, obviously, but for the most part, if you have to dress out, you're going to be clean. And I just, I've been in the industry so long, I got tired of being dirty all the time. It's just me. You might not care, but I care. You're gonna be clean. Some people don't like dressing out because it's too hot. Everybody's gonna you gotta pick your poison, right? I had no problem with it. It was cool to see the nuclear pool, like on the movies, man, to see the rods, like that was just amazing. Like everything in a nuclear plant is just cool, man. I felt like Homer Simpson walking around there. Everything was just tight. It's one of those places too where you really can't wander off. You don't want to be met by any guards or anything like that. And they've got these giant doors, and it really is like the movies where if they were to have a leak, they will lock you in there. But I mean, it's the movies, right? But they've got these giant doors that weigh hundreds of thousands of pounds that will seal and lock and all that stuff. But it's a really, really cool industry to work in. A lot of the people in there are highly intelligent. And again, this is something that you don't need to be educated to do. This is just one of those things where you have to get your foot in the door. You get your foot in the nuclear industry, you're set. I mean, like set. All right, your boy Dave, I gave mine up. I'm officially done. My red badge is over. I think I'm officially out for I think mine expired about 4 weeks ago. I got a 9 to 5 now. I'm not really worried about it. But what I am worried about is helping you guys get into this field. So we talked about the hot turnovers, the plants being in the boonies. You're gonna stay clean. Oh, and safety. All the tree huggers out there, man. I'm so sick of y'all. I can't wait to debate y'all tree huggers, man. But I'm telling you right now, these are some of the safest places that I've ever worked at in my life. Everything, it is just so safe, and everybody says, oh, the nuclear waste is bad and this and that. Man, I've seen it with my own eyes. If you've seen the amount of nuclear waste that a nuclear power plant produces over a span of 18 months, you would be like, that's it? Like, it's nothing. I'm telling you, like, they've got like these little pellets, man. These little uranium pellets, about they're tiny, and they go through cycles. Every 18 months they go through cycles. And that size that I showed you, just imagine four giant tubs and just fill them up with those pellets every 18 months. Okay, that's what they're throwing away every 18 months. And you're talking about a nuclear plant that has maybe 1,200 megawatts. That's enough to power 2 million homes, man. Listen, I'm ready. I wish a tree hugger would come on here, man. I'm telling you, I'm gonna give you the business. But the nuclear plants are some of the safest places that you can work in. It's just so much redundancy on filling out paperwork and permits and making sure that you're not in a hot area. They've got the radiation patrol, the RP. And you know what's crazy? Now that I'm an adult, I know some of you guys might have watched Monsters Inc. And you know how the little guys, they like scanning everything and then the alarms start going off. That's real. And it's funny to me now because I've seen it. Like, that's real. So you really do have those people everywhere where they will scan you and scan and scan to make sure that you ain't got nothing, that you ain't hot nowhere, you know, that you don't have no radiation particles. And it ain't no different from Monsters Inc. I'm telling you, they do a crazy, insane job to make sure that you don't carry anything out to the outside world. And if you do, you're gonna lose everything. When you go into containment, listen, I'm pretty sneaky, right? Like, I will, on certain jobs, you know, I'll take my cell phone, they say don't have it, right? When I'm in a nuclear plant, I do not play that. Don't take nothing with you, because if you come up hot, they do not care what it is. You could have $5,000 on you in your pocket. You could have a cell phone. You could have a gold. You could have anything. If you've got cash money on you, whatever, and they go to scan it and it's hot, you're never getting it back. It's gone. Like, your cell phone, they're not even gonna think. They're not even gonna blink about it. They're just gonna be like, oh, it's hot. Okay, point over there, and you're not going anywhere. All right, you think you gotta run from some armed guards with M16s? Like, no, you're done. Like, it's done. I don't take anything with me in containment unless I know that I'm ready to lose it, right? So, nice clothes, shoes, whatever. And if you come up dirty, it's just like the movie. It's just like on The Simpsons, man. They're gonna strip you down, and you're gonna have to take a shower. And the people are gonna scrub the mess out of you until they start scanning you, and you're good. Like, it's just like that. You know, I could probably do a part 3, but hey, man, if y'all got any questions, you know, hit me up in the comments. You'll be able to reach out to me. I do respond back. So this was part 2 about the nuclear industry. I hope, you know, I was able to entertain you guys. I hope you learned a few things about it. I'm telling you, this is an excellent field to get into, all right? Welcome to 6 to 6. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll check y'all later.